On the East local time, the U.S. House Judiciary Committee cited the U.S. e-commerce company Coupang as an example, claiming that the South Korean government has long engaged in economic discrimination against foreign companies. The U.S. House Judiciary Committee released a 35-page interim working report titled Blocking Competition: South Korea's Discriminatory Attacks on U.S.-owned companies on its website that day. The report stated, the South Korean government is mobilizing every regulatory tool at its disposal to target foreign companies, adding that the Fair Trade Commission is very aggressive in its attacks on U.S. companies. It went on to criticize, in recent surveys, U.S. companies reported that the Fair Trade Commission's enforcement is characterized by a lack of due process and procedural fairness, adding, furthermore, the Fair Trade Commission regularly employs coercive enforcement tactics including early morning raids, interrogations lasting several days, and even threats of criminal prosecution to force cooperation. Furthermore, he noted, Coupang has been consistently targeted by South Korean regulators and has faced hostile regulation, unfair enforcement practices, and excessive fines not imposed on South Korean competitors, adding, following a recent incident in which a disgruntled former employee gained unauthorized access to Coupang's data system, the South Korean government has escalated its attacks on Coupang into a full-scale governmental offensive. He continued, South Korean government officials have repeatedly spread misinformation about this incident, demanded that Coupang cease operations, and labeled Coupang a criminal organization, adding, they have launched dozens of individual investigations into Coupang, demanded the submission of over 4,000 documents, and investigated at least 652 Coupang employees. Following the South Korean government's pressure, Coupang's market capitalization fell by more than 40%, the report noted, adding that this decline in market capitalization had a negative impact on U.S. public pension funds, mutual funds, and the retirement savings of ordinary Americans. The report estimated that South Korea's discriminatory practices could cause more than $500 billion in economic losses to the United States and impose an average cost of $3,800 per U.S. household over the next 10 years. It further emphasized that South Korea's discriminatory treatment of U.S.-owned companies directly violates trade agreements with the United States, and the Judiciary Committee stressed that it will continue to monitor anti-competitive practices abroad to provide the information necessary for potential legislative reforms aimed at protecting U.S. companies and consumers. Is that all? Here's one more example of discrimination against U.S. company. When CEO Rogers, appearing at a joint parliamentary hearing, replied, I am not aware of any evidence that night shifts are harder than day shifts. Representative Yeom Tae-young of the Democratic Party of Korea proposed, in that case, let's work a 12-hour late-night delivery shift together, so you can experience it firsthand. CEO Rogers then promised, I will make deliveries with you. After the hearing, when Coupang showed signs of postponing or attempting to renege on the schedule, citing reasons such as police summons and preparations for a U.S. House of Representatives hearing, opposition lawmakers strongly criticized the company, accusing it of breaking a promise to the public and trying to turn this into a mere publicity stunt. As the controversy grew, Coupang reversed its position, finalizing the schedule for mid-March, and from 8:30 p.m. on March 19 to 6:30 a.m. The following day, a period of about 10 hours, they personally carried out early morning delivery duties, collecting and delivering fresh bags in the Seongnam, Gyeonggi province area alongside Yeom Tae-young, and others. In contrast, at companies based in Korea, no one bats an eye, even if workers are made to labor 24 hours a day, like slaves for a daily wage of 71 USD 50. And apartment residents can have every household chore done around the clock without paying a single penny yet. This is considered perfectly acceptable. The reason such discrimination is possible is that labor inspectors specially hired and assigned by the President and the Minister of Employment and Labor hold immense power and turn a blind eye to these practices. Furthermore, if anyone objects to this slave-like system, the labor inspectors notify HR personnel in the same industry, effectively handing down a death sentence that makes re-employment impossible. This is why workers refer to them as Grim Reapers. This is clear discrimination against US companies compared to Korean companies. But the reality is that no one can stand up to the labor inspectors, wielding this authority because they are backed by the power of the President and the Minister of Employment and Labor. Even though Coupang pays wages fairly, simply because it is an American company, they summoned its American CEO and even made him perform manual labor late at night. Meanwhile, Korean companies don't even pay night shift premiums, let alone half the minimum wage. Some even pay as little as 2,000 USD 1.5 per hour, and it is an undeniable fact that the US Congress has argued this constitutes discrimination. In a situation where the South Korean government is engaging in discriminatory treatment between US and South Korean companies, only workers employed by South Korean companies are suffering from low wages and grueling labor, bearing the brunt of the burden, a sad reality that is no different from the exploitation Koreans endured during the Japanese colonial period. Subscriptions, likes, and notifications are a huge help in freeing K-slaves. Thank you.